How can we deal with a second wave of COVID-19 and what's next as we battle this virus? And are things going to get worse before they can get better? Here with those answers and more, we're joined now by Dr. Raywat Deonandan, a University of Ottawa epidemiologist. Dr. Deonandan, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. But we're all asking these questions, and we've heard some officials toying with the idea of lockdown, but not quite going there. In your opinion, do we need to go back into a lockdown in order to beat this virus?
I don't think so. And the reason for that is we're in a different place now than we were back in March and April. And that is we've deployed sufficient public health tools that we can lean on, things like the distancing and the mask wearing, and strategically closing sectors and geographies so that we don't have to lock down the entire economy. So I anticipate we'll have rolling, strategic, targeted restrictions, but not an overall lockdown.
Well,
At least I hope so. I don't think we'll need to.
what could that look like? Rolling strategic, targeted restrictions?
Well, first of all, I think we have to close bars, nightclubs, strip clubs, karaoke bars, possibly restaurants, restrict them to patio use and takeout only. We might have to really come down hard on universities to be entirely online. Some schools might have to close temporarily, that kind of thing, right? So focus on certain sectors. Now, as the disease makes its way through the province, maybe focus more on the hot zone areas and have more targeted approaches there as well.
This is a bit of a generalization, perhaps, but it sounds like a lot of the places you're suggesting are areas where we see those in that demographic that are leading to the higher case counts, that 20 to 40 age range. Is that what you suggest, that we got to shut down the places where those people are?
Not exactly. We shut down the places where the opportunities for mass indoor spread are present. It just happens to be those are the places where a certain demographic cluster. I'm loath to really blame one demographic for driving all this because sometimes they can't distance due to socioeconomic reasons. But yeah, this is driven largely by a certain age group right now, and it's only a matter of time before they infect an older age group and drive the hospitalization and death numbers higher.
Is this the only way we can get these numbers back down?
Right now, yes, until better treatments and a vaccine arise. I mean, the tools are in our hands, right? These aren't brand new things. These are ancient, hundreds of years old tools. Keep your distance from other people. Stay away from people's mouths if you can. Avoid mass gatherings. They're simple things, and we can enact them in our everyday lives. So it's our best path forward right now with the information we currently have.
You mentioned schools there. Let me ask you where your thoughts are today as we are now a few weeks into schools. All the kids are back in Ottawa here. We reported yesterday some 50 cases in some 30 schools in our city. Should we keep the schools open?
We have to do everything we can to keep the schools open. So we're not at the point yet we have to have mass closures, but we might get there. I anticipate by December we'll probably have some schools closed, maybe indefinitely. That's not a prediction, it's simply my feeling right now. So it's unclear what the threshold is for a school closure. Maybe it takes a couple of cases to start from a school, make it to a home, infect an older person, possibly kill an older person, to suddenly have people think maybe this is not worth the risk. We'll see. We're in new times, and we're sort of gauging the indicators as they come at us and changing the thresholds accordingly.
Pharmacies start offering testing tomorrow. Is that going to make a difference for all the assessment centers that are just bogged down with hours of lines?
Yes. Now, the concern is that the pharmacy usage has not come in coordination with lab capacity surges. So the pharmacies might just be providing more swabs to the labs that can't keep up already. And I'm concerned that the pharmacies seem to have a directive to focus mostly on asymptomatic cases, whereas we have a backlog of symptomatic cases, which should be the priority right now for testing. So it's unclear how the pharmacies will be used, but definitely I support having them as part of the flotilla of tools we have, but they have to be used strategically.
We are 6 months in. We are now into the second wave in this province. What's the one thing you think the people making the decisions in how we are handling this pandemic could do differently?
They have to get ahead of this game. So they don't respond to the numbers, predict where the numbers will be 2 weeks from now, and risk looking like overreactive mother hens. That's fine. That's what governments should do. By the time we see the hospitalization and death rates start to rise, it might be already too late to stop the worst of this. So the time to act is now. Start closing things like bars now, unfortunately, right? And start taking this a bit more seriously at a proactive level.
Do you think it's going to get far worse before it gets any better?
It might. I mean, everything tells us right now that given the explosive case numbers, we've probably got 2 to 5 weeks before we see a rise in hospitalization and death numbers. I really hope that's not the case. It might not be, but it probably will be. So I think we have to brace ourselves for that possibility. And maybe we'll see that the second wave has a lower peak than before. It's possible because we have those public health tools like the distancing and the mask wearing and people being more vigilant. So I'm ever an optimist. I have faith in my fellow Canadians to do the right thing, and I think we'll get through this fairly well.
University of Ottawa epidemiologist Dr. Raywat Deonandan, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.